of good things, for hours, about the hour of noontide. However, when the sun stood exactly over Zarathustra's head, he passed an old, bent, and gnarled tree, which was encircled round by the ardent love of a vine, and hidden from itself. From this there hung yellow grapes in abundance, confronting the wanderer. Then he felt inclined to quench a little thirst, and to break off for himself a cluster of grapes. When, however, he had already his arm outstretched for that purpose, he still felt more inclined for something else, namely, to lie down beside the tree at the hour of perfect noontide and sleep. This Zarathustra did, and no sooner had he laid himself on the ground in the stillness and secrecy of the variegated grass than he had forgotten his little thirst and fell asleep. For as the proverb of Zarathustra saith, one thing is more necessary than the other. Only that his eyes remained open, for they never grew weary of viewing and admiring the tree and the love of the vine. In falling asleep, however, Zarathustra spake thus to his heart, Hush, hush! Hath not the world now become perfect? What hath happened unto me? As delicate wind danceth invisibly upon parketed seas, light, feather light, so danceth sleep upon me. No eye doth it close to me, it leaveth my soul awake. Light is it, verily, feather light. It persuadeth me, I know not how. It toucheth me inwardly with a caressing hand. It constraineth me, yea, it constraineth me so that my soul stretcheth itself out. How long and weary it becometh, my strange soul. Hath a 7-day evening come to it precisely at noontide? Hath it already wandered too long, blissfully, among good and ripe things? It stretcheth itself out, long, longer, it lieth still, my strange soul. Too many good things hath it already tasted, this golden sadness oppresseth it, it distorteth its mouth. As a ship that putteth into the calmest cove, it now draweth up to the land. Weary of long voyages and uncertain seas, is not the land more faithful? As such a ship huggeth the shore, tuggeth the shore. Then it sufficeth for a spider to spin its thread from the ship to land. No stronger ropes are required there. As such a weary ship in the calmest cove, so do I also now repose, nigh to the earth, faithful, trusting, waiting, bound to it with the lightest threads. O happiness, wilt thou perhaps sing, O my soul? Thou liest in the grass, but this is the secret, solemn hour, when no shepherd playeth his pipe. Take care, hot noontide sleepeth on the fields. Do not sing. Hush. The world is perfect. Do not sing, thou prairie bird, my soul. Do not even whisper. Lo, hush. The old noontide sleepeth, it moveth its mouth. Doth it not just now drink a drop of happiness, an old brown drop of golden happiness, golden wine? Something whisketh over it, its happiness laugheth, thus laugheth a god. Hush! For happiness, how little sufficeth for happiness? Thus spake I once, and thought myself wise, but it was a blasphemy. That have I now learned. Wise fools speak better, the least things precisely. The gentlest thing, the lightest thing, a lizard's rustling, a breath, a whisk, an eye glance, little maketh up the best happiness. Hush! What hath befallen me? Hark! Hath time flown away? Do I not fall? Have I not fallen, hark, into the well of eternity? What happeneth to me? Hush! It stingeth me. Alas, to the heart? To the heart! Oh, break up, my heart, after such happiness, after such a sting. What? Hath not the world just now become perfect, round and ripe? Oh, for the golden round ring, whither doth it fly? Let me run after it, quick! Hush! And here Zarathustra stretched himself, and felt that he was asleep. Up, said he to himself, thou sleeper, thou noontide sleeper! Well then up, ye old legs. It is time, and more than time. Many a good stretch of road is still awaiting you. Now have ye slept your fill. For how long a time? A half eternity. Well then, up now, mine old heart, for how long after such a sleep mayest thou remain awake? But then did he fall asleep anew. Hush, hath not the world just now become perfect? Oh, for the golden round ball. Get up, said Zarathustra, thou little thief, thou sluggard. What? Still stretching thyself, yawning, sighing, falling into deep wells? Who art thou then, O my soul? And here he became frightened, for a sunbeam shot down from heaven upon his face. O heaven above me, said he sighing, and sat upright. Thou gazest at me? Thou hearkenest unto my strange soul? When wilt thou drink this drop of dew that fell down upon all earthly things? When wilt thou drink this strange soul? When, thou well of eternity, thou joyous, awful noontide abyss? When wilt thou drink my soul back into thee? Thus spake Zarathustra, and rose from his couch beside the tree, as if awakening from a strange drunkenness. And behold, there stood the sun, still exactly above his head. One might, however, rightly infer therefrom that Zarathustra had not then slept long. 71. The Greeting. It was late in the afternoon, only when Zarathustra, after long useless searching and strolling about, again came home to his cave. When, however, he stood over against it, not more than 20 paces therefrom, the thing happened which he now least of all expected. He heard anew the great cry of distress, and extraordinary. This time the cry came out of his own cave. It was a long, manifold, peculiar cry, and Zarathustra plainly distinguished that it was composed of many voices. Although heard at a distance, it might sound like the cry out of a single mouth. Thereupon Zarathustra rushed forward to his cave, and behold, what a spectacle awaited him after that concert! For there did they all sit together, whom he had passed during the day, the king on the right and the king on the left, the old magician, the pope, the voluntary beggar, the shadow, the intellectually conscientious one, the sorrowful soothsayer, and the ass. The ugliest man, however, had set a crown on his head, and had put round him 2 purple girdles, for he liked, like all ugly ones, to distinguish himself and play the handsome person. In the midst, however, of that sorrowful company stood Zarathustra's eagle, ruffled and disquieted, for it had been called upon to answer too much for which its pride had not any answer. The wise serpent, however, hung round its neck. All this did Zarathustra behold with great astonishment. Then, however, he scrutinized each individual guest with courteous curiosity, read their souls, and wondered anew. In the meantime, the assembled ones had risen from their seats and waited with reverence for Zarathustra to speak. Zarathustra, however, spake thus: Ye despairing ones, ye strange ones, so it was your cry of distress that I heard, and now do I know also where he is to be sought, whom I have sought for in vain today. The higher man. In mine own cave sitteth he, the higher man. But why, do I wonder, have not I myself allured him to me by honey offerings, and artful lure calls of my happiness? But it seemeth to me that ye are badly adapted for company. Ye make one another's hearts fretful, ye that cry for help, when ye sit here together. There is one that must first come, one who will make you laugh once more, a good, jovial buffoon, a dancer, a wind, a wild romp, some old fool. What think ye? Forgive me, however, ye despairing ones, for speaking such trivial words before you, unworthy, verily, of such guests. But ye do not divine what maketh my heart wanton. Ye yourselves do it, and your aspect forgive it me, for everyone becometh courageous who beholdeth a despairing one, to encourage a despairing one. Everyone thinketh himself strong enough to do so. To myself have ye given this power. A good gift, mine honorable guests, and excellent guests present. Well, do not then upbraid when I also offer you something of mine. This is mine empire, and my dominion, that which is mine. However, shall this evening and tonight be yours. Mine animals shall serve you. Let my cave be your resting place. At house and home with me shall no one despair. In my purlius do I protest everyone from his wild beasts. And that is the first thing which I offer you, security. The second thing, however, is my little finger. And when ye have that, then take the whole hand also, yea, and the heart with it. Welcome here, welcome to you, my guests. Thus spake Zarathustra, and laughed with love and mischief. After this greeting, his guests bowed once more, and were reverentially silent. The king on the right, however, answered him in their name. Their name.
O Zarathustra, by the way in which thou hast given us thy hand and thy greeting, we recognize thee as Zarathustra. Thou hast humbled thyself before us, almost hast thou hurt our reverence. Who, however, could have humbled himself as thou hast done, with such pride? That uplifteth us ourselves. A refreshment is it to our eyes and hearts to behold this merely. Gladly would we ascend higher mountains than this, for as eager beholders have we come. We wanted to see what brighteneth dim eyes, and lo, now is it all over with our cries of distress. Now are our minds and hearts open and enraptured. Little is lacking for our spirits to become wanton. There is nothing, O Zarathustra, that groweth more pleasingly on earth than a lofty, strong will. It is the finest growth. An entire landscape refresheth itself at one such tree. To the pine do I compare him, O Zarathustra, which groweth up like thee, tall, silent, hardy, solitary, of the best, supplest wood, stately. In the end, however, grasping out for its dominion with strong green branches, asking weighty questions of the wind, the storm, and whatever is at home on high places. Answering more weightily, a commander, a victor. Oh, who should not ascend high mountains to behold such growths? At thy tree, O Zarathustra, the gloomy and ill-constituted also refresh themselves. At thy look, even the wavering become steady and heal their hearts. And verily, towards thy mountain and thy tree do many eyes turn today. A great longing hath arisen, and many have learned to ask, Who is Zarathustra? And those into whose ears thou hast at any time dripped thy song and thy honey, all the hidden ones, the lone dwellers, and the twain dwellers, have simultaneously said to their hearts, Doth Zarathustra still live? It is no longer worthwhile to live. Everything is indifferent, everything is useless, or else we must live with Zarathustra. Why doth he not come, who hath so long announced himself? Thus do many people ask, Hath solitude swallowed him up, or should we perhaps go to him? Now doth it come to pass that solitude itself becometh fragile, and breaketh open, like a grave that breaketh open, and can no longer hold its dead. Everywhere one seeth resurrected ones. Now do the waves rise and rise above thy mountain, O Zarathustra, and however high be thy height, many of them must rise up to thee. Thy boat shall not rest longer on dry ground. And that we despairing ones have now come into thy cave, and already no longer despair, it is but a prognostic and a presage that better ones are on the way to thee. For they themselves are on the way to thee, the last remnant of God among men. That is to say, all the men of great longing, of great loathing, of great satiety. All who do not want to live unless they learn again to hope, unless they learn from thee, O Zarathustra, the great hope.
Thus spake the king on the right, and seized the hand of Zarathustra in order to kiss it. But Zarathustra checked his veneration, and stepped back, frightened, fleeing, as it were, silently and suddenly into the far distance. After a little while, however, he was again at home with his guests, looked at them with clear, scrutinizing eyes, and said, My guests, ye higher men, I will speak plain language and plainly with you. It is not for you that I have waited here in these mountains.
Plain language and plainly? Good God,
said here the king on the left to himself.
One seeth he doth not know the good Occidentals, this sage out of the Orient. But he meaneth blunt language and bluntly. Well, that is not the worst taste in these days.
Ye may verily, all of you, be higher men, continued Zarathustra, but for me, ye are neither high enough nor strong enough. For me, that is to say, for the inexorable which is now silent in me, but will not always be silent. And if ye appertain to me, still it is not as my right arm. For he who himself standeth like you on sickly and tender legs wisheth above all to be treated indulgently, whether he be conscious of it or hide it from himself. My arms and my legs, however, I do not treat indulgently. I do not treat my warriors indulgently. How then could ye be fit for my warfare? With you I should spoil all my victories, and many of you would tumble over if ye but heard the loud beating of my drums. Moreover, ye are not sufficiently beautiful and well born for me. I require pure, smooth mirrors for my doctrines. On your surface, even mine own likeness is distorted. On your shoulders presseth many a burden, many a recollection, many a mischievous dwarf squatteth in your corners. There is concealed populace also in you. And though ye be high, and of higher type, much in you is crooked and misshapen. There is no smith in the world that could hammer you right and straight for me. Ye are only bridges. May higher ones pass over upon you. Ye signify steps, so do not upbraid him who ascendeth beyond you into his height. Out of your seed there may one day arise for me a genuine son and perfect heir, but that time is distant. Ye yourselves are not those unto whom my heritage and name belong. Not for you do I wait here in these mountains. Not with you may I descend for the last time. Ye have come unto me only as a presage that higher ones are on the way to me. Not the men of great longing, of great loathing, of great satiety, and that which ye call the remnant of God. Nay, nay, 3 times nay, for others do I wait here in these mountains, and will not lift my foot from thence without them. For higher ones, stronger ones, triumphanter ones, merrier ones, for such as are built squarely in body and soul, laughing lions must come. O my guests, ye strange ones, have ye yet heard nothing of my children, and that they are on the way to me? Do speak unto me of my gardens, of my happy isles, of my new beautiful race. Why do ye not speak unto me thereof? This, guests, present do I, solicit of your love, that ye speak unto me of my children. For them am I rich, for them I became poor. What have I not surrendered? What would I not surrender that I might have one thing? These children, this living plantation, these life trees of my will and of my highest hope. Thus spake Zarathustra, and stopped suddenly in his discourse, for his longing came over him, and he closed his eyes and his mouth, because of the agitation of his heart. And all his guests also were silent, and stood still and confounded, except only that the old soothsayer made signs with his hands and his gesture. 72. The Supper. For at this point, the soothsayer interrupted the greetings of Zarathustra and his guests. He pressed forward as one who had no time to lose, seized Zarathustra's hand, and exclaimed, "But, Zarathustra, one thing is more necessary than the other, so sayest thou thyself. Well, one thing is now more necessary unto me than all others, a word at the right time. Didst thou not invite me to table? And here are many who have made long journeys. Thou dost not mean to feed us merely with discourses. Besides, all of you have thought too much about freezing, drowning, suffocating, and other bodily dangers. None of you, however, have thought of my danger, namely, perishing of hunger." Thus spake the soothsayer. When Zarathustra's animals, however, heard these words, they ran away in terror, for they saw that all they had brought home during the day would not be enough to fill the one soothsayer. "Likewise perishing of thirst," continued the soothsayer, "and although I hear water splashing here like words of wisdom, that is to say, plenteously and unweariedly, I want wine. Not everyone is a born water drinker like Zarathustra, neither doth water suit weary and withered ones. We deserve wine. It alone giveth immediate vigor and improvised health." On this occasion, when the soothsayer was longing for wine, it happened that the king on the left, the silent one, also found expression for once.
"We took care," said he, "about wine. I, along with my brother, the king on the right, we have enough of wine, a whole ass-load of it, so there is nothing lacking but bread."
"Bread," replied Zarathustra, laughing when he spake. "It is precisely bread that anchorites have not. But man doth not live by bread alone, but also by the flesh of good lambs, of which I have 2. These shall we slaughter quickly, and cook spicily with sage. It is also that I like them, and there is also no lack of roots and fruits, good enough even for the fastidious and dainty, nor of nuts and other riddles for cracking. Thus will we have a good repast in a little while. But whoever wish to eat with us must also give a hand to the work, even the kings, for with Zarathustra, even a king may be a cook." This proposal appealed to the hearts of all of them, save that the voluntary beggar objected to the flesh and wine and spices.
"Just hear this glutton Zarathustra," said he jokingly. "Doth one go into caves and high mountains to make such repasts? Now indeed do I understand what he once taught us, blessed be moderate poverty, and why he wisheth to do away with beggars."
"Be of good cheer," replied Zarathustra, "as I am. Abide by thy customs, thou excellent one. Grind thy corn, drink thy water, praise thy cooking, if only it make thee glad. I am a law only for mine own. I am not a law for all. He, however, who belongeth unto me, must be strong of bone and light of foot, joyous in fight and feast, no sulker, no John o' dreams, ready for the hardest task, as for the feast, healthy and hale. The best belongeth unto mine and me, and if it be not given us, then do we take it, the best food, the purest sky, the strongest thoughts, the fairest women." Thus spake Zarathustra. The king on the right, however, answered and said, "Strange! Did one ever hear such sensible things out of the mouth of a wise man? And verily, it is the strangest thing in a wise man, if over and above he be still sensible, and not an ass." Thus spake the king on the right, and wondered. The ass, however, with ill will, said, "Yee-haw!" to his remark. This, however, was the beginning of that long repast, which is called the supper in the history books. At this, there was nothing else spoken of but the higher man. 73. The higher man. When I came unto men for the first time, then did I commit the anchorite folly, the great folly. I appeared on the marketplace, and when I spake unto all, I spake unto none. In the evening, however, rope dancers were my companions, and corpses, and I myself almost a corpse. With the new morning, however, there came unto me a new truth. Then did I learn to say, of what account to me are marketplace, and populace noise, and long populous ears? Ye higher men, learn this from me. On the marketplace no one believeth in higher men. But if ye will speak there, very well. The populace, however, blinketh. We are all equal, ye higher men. So blinketh the populace. There are no higher men. We are all equal. Man is man. Before God, we are all equal. Before God. Now, however, this God hath died. Before the populace. However, we will not be equal, ye higher men, away from the marketplace. Before God. Now, however, this God hath died, ye higher men. This God was your greatest danger. Only since he lay in the grave have ye again arisen. Now only cometh the great noontide. Now only doth the higher man become master. Have ye understood this word, O my brethren? Ye are frightened. Do your hearts turn giddy? Doth the abyss here yawn for you? Doth the hellhound here yelp at you? Well, take heart, ye higher men. Now only travailleth the mountain of the human future. God hath died. Now do we desire the Superman to live. The most careful ask today, how is the man to be maintained? Zarathustra, however, asketh, as the first and only one, how is man to be surpassed? The Superman I have at heart, that is the first and only thing to me, and not man. Not the neighbor, not the poorest, not the sorriest, not the best. Oh, my brethren, what I can love in man is that he is an overgoing and a downgoing. And also in you there is much that maketh me love and hope. In that ye have despised, ye higher men, that maketh me hope. For the great despisers are the great reverers. In that ye have despaired. There is much to honor, for ye have not learned to submit yourselves. Ye have not learned petty policy. For today have the petty people become master. They all preach submission and humility and policy and diligence and consideration and the long etc. of petty virtues. Whatever is of the effeminate type, whatever originateth from the servile type, and especially the populous mismatch, that wisheth now to be master of all human destiny. Oh, disgust, disgust, disgust! That asketh and never tireth. How is man to maintain himself best, longest, most pleasantly? Thereby are they the masters of today. These masters of today surpass them, O my brethren, these petty people. They are the Superman's greatest danger. Surpass, ye higher men, the petty virtues, the petty policy, the sand-grain considerateness, the ant-hill trumpery, the pitiable comfortableness, the happiness of the greatest number. And rather despair than submit yourselves. And verily, I love you, because ye not know today how to live, ye higher men, for thus do ye live best. Have ye courage, O my brethren? Are ye stout-hearted? Not the courage before witness, but anchorite and eagle courage, which not even a god any longer beholdeth. Cold souls, mules, the blind and the drunken, I do not call stout-hearted. He hath heart who knoweth fear, but vanquisheth it, who seeth the abyss, but with pride. He who seeth the abyss, but with eagle's eyes, he who with eagle's talons graspeth the abyss, he hath courage. Man is evil, so said to me for consolation all the wisest ones. Ha, if only it be still true today, for the evil is man's best force. Man must become better and eviler. So do I teach. The evilest is necessary for the Superman's best. It may have been well for the preacher of the petty people to suffer and be burdened by men's sin. I, however, rejoice in great sin as my great consolation. Such things, however, are not said for long years. Every word also is not suited for every mouth. These are fine, faraway things. At them sheep's claws shall not grasp. Ye higher men, think ye that I am here to put right what ye have put wrong, or that I wished henceforth to make snugger couches for you sufferers, or show you restless miswanderings, misclimbing ones, new and easier footpaths? Nay, nay, 3 times nay. Always more, always better ones of your type shall succumb, for ye shall always have it worse and harder. Thus only groweth man aloft to the height where the lightning striketh and shattereth him, high enough for the lightning. Towards the few, the long, the remote go forth my soul and my seeking. Of what account to me are your many little short miseries? Ye do not yet suffer enough for me, for ye suffer from yourselves. Ye have not yet suffered from man. Ye would lie if ye spake otherwise. None of you suffereth from what I have suffered. It is not enough for me that the lightning no longer doeth harm. I do not wish to conduct it away. It shall learn to work for me. My wisdom hath accumulated long like a cloud. It becometh stiller and darker. So doeth all wisdom, which shall one day bear lightnings. Unto these men of today will I not be light, nor be called light. Them will I blind. Lightning of my wisdom, put out their eyes. Do not will anything beyond your power. There is a bad falseness in those who will beyond their power, especially when they will great things, for they awaken distrust in great things, these subtle false coiners and stage players, until at last they are false towards themselves, squint-eyed, white cankers, glossed over with strong words, parade virtues, and brilliant false deeds. Take good care there, ye higher men, for nothing is more precious to me and rarer than honesty. Is this today not that of the populace? The populace, however, knoweth not what is great and what is small, what is straight and what is honest. It is innocently crooked. It ever lieth. Have a good distrust today, ye higher men, ye enheartened ones, ye open-hearted ones, and keep your reasons secret, for this today is that of the populace. What the populace once learned to believe without reasons, who could refute it to them by means of reasons. And on the marketplace one convinceth with gestures, but reasons make the populace distrustful. And when truth hath once triumphed there, then ask yourself with good distrust, what strong error hath fought for it? Be on your guard also against the learned. They hate you, because they are unproductive. They have cold, withered eyes before which every bird is unplumed. Such persons vaunt about not lying, but inability to lie is still far from being love to truth. Be on your guard. Freedom from fever is still far from being knowledge. Refrigerated spirits I do not believe in. He who cannot lie doth not know what truth is. If ye would go up high, then use your own legs. Do not get yourself carried aloft. Do not seat yourself on other people's backs and heads. Thou hast mounted, however, on horseback? Thou now ridest briskly up to thy goal? Well, my friend, but thy lame foot is also with thee on horseback. When thou reachest thy goal, when thou alightest from thy horse, precisely on thy height, thou higher man, then wilt thou stumble. Ye creating ones, ye higher men, one is only pregnant with one's own child. Do not let yourselves be imposed upon or put upon. Who then is your neighbor? Even if ye act for your neighbor, ye still do not create for him. Unlearn, I pray you, this for, ye creating ones. Your very virtue wisheth you to have naught to do with for, and on account of, and because. Against these false little words shall ye stop your ears. For one's neighbor is the virtue only of the petty people. There it is said, like, and hand washeth hand. They have neither the right nor the power for your self-seeking. In your self-seeking, ye creating ones, there is the foresight and foreseeing of the pregnant, what no one's eye hath yet seen, namely, the fruit. This sheltereth and saveth and nourisheth your entire love. Where your entire love is, namely, with your child, there is also your entire virtue, your work, your will is your neighbor. Let no false values impose upon you. Ye creating ones, ye higher men, whoever hath to give birth is sick. Whoever hath given birth, however, is unclean. Ask women, one giveth birth not because it giveth pleasure. The pain maketh hens and poets cackle. Ye creating ones, in you there is much uncleanliness. That is because ye have had to be mothers. A new child, oh, how much new filth hath also come into this world. Go apart, he who hath given birth shall wash his soul. Be not virtuous beyond your powers, and seek nothing from yourselves opposed to probability. Walk in the footsteps in which your father's virtue hath already walked. How would ye rise high, if your father's will should not rise with you? He, however, who would be a firstling, let him take care lest he also become a lastling. And where the vices of your fathers are, there should ye not set up as saints. He whose fathers were inclined for women, and for strong wine, and flesh of wild boar swine, what would it be if he demanded chastity of himself? A folly would it be, much. Verily doth it seem to me for such a one, if he should be the husband of one, or of two, or of three women. And if he founded monasteries, and inscribed over their portals the way to holiness, I should still say, what good is it? It is a new folly. He hath founded for himself a penance house and refuge house. Much good may it do, but I do not believe in it. In solitude there groweth what any one bringeth into it, also the brute in one's nature. Thus is solitude inadvisable unto many. Hath there ever been anything filthier on earth than the saints of the wilderness? Around them was not only the devil loose, but also the swine. Shy, ashamed, awkward, like the tiger whose spring hath failed. Thus, ye higher men, have I often seen you slink aside. A cast which ye made had failed. But what doth it matter, ye dice players? Ye had not learned to play and mock, as one must play and mock. Do we not ever sit at a great table of mocking and playing? And if great things have been a failure with you, have ye yourselves therefore been a failure? And if ye yourselves have been a failure, hath man therefore been a failure? If man, however, hath been a failure, well then, never mind. The higher its type, always the seldomer doth a thing succeed. Ye higher men here, have ye not all been failures? Be of good cheer. What doth it matter? How much is still possible? Learn to laugh at yourselves, as ye ought to laugh. What wonder even that ye have failed and only half succeeded? Ye have shattered ones. Doth not man's future strive and struggle in you? Man's furthest, profoundest star, highest issues. His prestigious powers, do not all these foam through one another in your vessel? What wonder that many a vessel shattereth? Learn to laugh at yourselves, as ye ought to laugh, ye higher men. Oh, how much is still possible, and verily, how much hath already succeeded. How rich is this earth in small, good, perfect things, in well-constituted things. Set around you small, good, perfect things, ye higher men. Their golden maturity healeth the heart. The perfect teacheth one to hope. What hath hitherto been the greatest sin here on earth? Was it not the word of him who said, Woe unto them that laugh now? Did he himself find no cause for laughter on the earth? Then he sought badly. A child even findeth cause for it. He did not love sufficiently. Otherwise would he also have loved us, the laughing ones. But he hated and hooted us, wailing and teeth-gnashing did he promise us. Must one then curse immediately when one doth not love? That seemeth to me bad taste. Thus did he, however, this absolute one, he sprang from the populace, and he himself just did not love sufficiently. Otherwise would he have raged less because people did not love him. All great love doth not seek love, it seeketh more. Go out of the way of all such absolute ones. They are a poor, sickly type, a populous type. They look at this life with ill will. They have an evil eye for this earth. Go out of the way of all such absolute ones. They have heavy feet and sultry hearts. They do not know how to dance. How could the earth be light to such ones? Tortuously do all good things come nigh to their goal. Like cats they curve their backs. They purr inwardly with their approaching happiness. All good things laugh. His step betrayeth whether a person already walketh on his own path. Just see me walk. He, however, who cometh nigh to his goal, danceth. And verily, a statue have I not become. Not yet do I stand there stiff, stupid, and stony, like a pillar. I love fast racing, and though there be on earth fens and dense afflictions, he who hath light feet runneth even across the mud, and danceth as upon well-swept ice. Lift up your hearts, my brethren, high, higher, and do not forget your legs. Lift up also your legs, ye good dancers, and better still, if ye stand upon your heads. This crown of the laughter, this rose garland crown, I myself have put on this crown. I myself have consecrated my laughter. No one else have I found today potent enough for this. Zarathustra the dancer, Zarathustra the light one, who beckoneth with his pinions, one ready for flight, beckoning unto all birds, ready and prepared, a blissfully light-spirited one. Zarathustra the soothsayer, Zarathustra the soothe-laugher, no impatient one, no absolute one, one who loveth leaps and side leaps. I myself have put on this crown. Lift up your hearts, my brethren, high, higher, and do not forget your legs. Lift up also your legs, ye good dancers, and better still, if ye stand upon your heads. There are also heavy animals in a state of happiness. There are club-footed ones from the beginning. Curiously do they exert themselves, like an elephant, which endeavoureth to stand upon its head. Better, however, to be foolish with happiness than foolish with misfortune. Better to dance awkwardly than walk lamely. So learn, I pray you, my wisdom, ye higher men. Even the worst thing hath two good reverse sides. Even the worst thing hath good dancing legs. So learn, I pray you, ye higher men, to put yourselves on your proper legs. So unlearn, I pray you, the sorrow sighing, and all the populace sadness. Oh, how sad the buffoons of the populace seem to me today. This today, however, is that of the populace. Do like unto the wind, when it rusheth forth from its mountain caves, unto its own piping will it dance. The seas tremble and leap under its footsteps. That which giveth wings to asses, that which milketh the lioness. Praised be that good, unruly spirit, which cometh like a hurricane unto all present and unto all the populace, which is hostile to thistleheads and puzzleheads, and to all withered leaves and weeds. Praised be this wild, good, free spirit of the storm, which danceth upon fens and afflictions as upon meadows, which hateth the consumptive populous dogs, and all the ill-constituted sullen brood. Praised be this spirit of all free spirits, the laughing storm, which bloweth dust into the eyes of all the melanopic and melancholic. Ye higher men, the worst thing in you is that ye have none of you learned to dance as ye ought to dance beyond yourselves. What doth it matter that ye have failed? How many things are still possible? So learn to laugh beyond yourselves. Lift up your hearts, ye good dancers, high, higher, and do not forget the good laughter. This crown of laughter, this rose garland crowned, to you, my brethren, do I cast this crown. Laughing have I consecrated, ye higher men. Learn, I pray you, to laugh. 74. The Song of Melancholy. When Zarathustra spake these sayings, he stood nigh to the entrance of his cave. With the last words, however, he slipped away from his guests, and fled for a while into the open air. "Oh, pure odors around me," cried he. "Oh, blessed stillness around me. But where are mine animals? Hither, hither, mine eagle, and my serpent. Tell me, mine animals, these higher men, all of them, do they perhaps not smell well? Oh, pure odors surround me. Now only do I know and feel how much I love you, mine animals." And Zarathustra said once more, "I love you, mine animals." The eagle, however, and the serpent pressed close to him when he spake these words, and looked up to him. In this attitude were they all three, silent together, and sniffed and sipped the good air with one another. For the air here outside was better than with the higher men. Hardly, however, had Zarathustra left the cave when the old magician got up, looked cunningly about him, and said, "He's gone. And already, ye higher men, let me tickle you with this complimentary and flattering name, as he himself doeth. Already doth mine evil spirit of deceit and magic attack me, my melancholy devil, which is an adversary to this Zarathustra from the very heart. Forgive it for this. Now doth it wish to conjure before you. It hath just its hour. In vain do I struggle with this evil spirit. Unto all of you, whatever honours ye like to assume in your names, whether ye call yourselves the free spirits, or the conscientious, or the penitents of the spirit, or the unfettered, or the great longers. Unto all of you, who like me suffer from the great loathing, to whom the old god hath died, and as yet no new god lieth in cradles and swaddling clothes, unto all of you is mine evil spirit and magic devil favourable. I know you, ye higher men, I know him. I know also this fiend whom I love in spite of me, this Zarathustra. He himself seemeth to me like the beautiful mask of a saint, like a strange mummery, in which mine evil spirit, the melancholy devil, delighteth. I love Zarathustra, so doth it often seem to me, for the sake of mine evil spirit. But already doth it attack me, and constrain me, this spirit of melancholy, this evening twilight devil, and verily, ye higher men, it hath a longing. Open your eyes, it hath a longing to come naked, whether male or female I do not yet know, but it cometh, it constraineth me, alas, open your wits. The day dieth out, unto all things cometh now the evening, also unto the best things. Hear now, and see, ye higher men, what devil, man or woman, this spirit of evening melancholy is." Thus spake the old magician, looked cunningly about him, and seized his harp. "In evening's limpid air, what time the dew's soothings unto the earth downpour, invisibly and unheard, for tender shoe gear wear the soothing dews, like all that's kind, gentle, bethinkest thou then, bethinkest thou, burning heart, how once thou thirstedest for heaven's kindly teardrops and dew's down-droppings, all singed and weary thistledest. What time on yellow grass pathways, wicked, occidental sunny glances through sombre trees about thee sported, bleedingly sunny glow glances, gladly hurting, of truth the wooer, thou, so taunted they, nay, merely
poet. A brute, insidious, plundering, grovelling, that I must lie. That willingly, wilfully, I must lie. For booty-lusting, motley masked, self-hidden, shrouded, himself his booty, he of truth the wooer, nay, mere fool, mere poet, just motley speaking, from mask of fool confusedly shouting, circumambling on fabricated word bridges, on motley rainbow arches, twixt the spurious heavenly and spurious earthly, round us roving, round us soaring, mere fool, mere poet, he of truth the wooer, not still, stiff, smooth and cold, become an image, a godlike statue, set up in front of temples, as a god's own door-god, nay, hostile to all such truthfulness statues, in every desert homelier than at temples, with cattish wantonness through every window leaping, quickly into chances, every wild forest a-sniffing, greedily, longingly, sniffing, that thou in wild forests, 'mong the motley speckled fierce creatures, shouldest rove, sinful sound and fine-coloured, with longing lips smacking, blessedly hellish, blessedly bloodthirsty, robbing, skulking, lying, roving, or unto eagles like which fixedly, long adown the precipice look, adown their precipice. Oh, how they whirl down now, thereunder, therein, to ever deeper profoundness whirling, then, sudden, with aim aright, with quivering flight, on lambkins pouncing, headlong down, sore hungry for lambkins longing, fierce 'gainst all lamb spirits, furious, fierce, all that look, sheep-like, or lamb-beard, or crisp woolly, grey, with lamb-sheep kindliness. Even thus, eagle-like, panther-like, are the poet's desires, are thine own desires, 'neath 1,000 guises. Thou fool, thou poet, thou who all mankind viewest, so God as sheep, the God to rend with mankind, as the sheep is mankind. And in rending, laughing, that is thine own blessedness of a panther and an eagle, blessedness of a poet and fool, the blessedness. In evening's limpid air, what time the moon's sickle, green twixt the purple glowings, and jealous, stealeth forth of day the foe, with every step in secret, the rosy garland hammocks, down sickling till they've sunken, down nightwards, faded, down sunken. Thus had I sunken one day from mine own truth and sanity, from mine own fervid day longings, of day a-weary, sick of sunshine, sunk downwards, evenwards, shadow words, by one sole trueness, all scorched and thirsty. Bethinkest thou still, bethinkest thou, burning heart, how then thou thirstedest, that I should banned be from all that trueness, mere fool, mere poet.
75. Science. Thus sang the magician, and all who were present went like birds unawares into the net of his artful and melancholy voluptuousness. Only the spiritually consensuous one had not been caught. He had once snatched the harp from the magician and called out, "Air! Let in good air! Let in Zarathustra! Thou makest this cave sultry and poisonous, thou bad old magician! Thou seducest, thou false one, thou subtle one, to unknown desires and deserts. And alas, that such as thou should talk and make ado about the truth. Alas to all three spirits who are not on their guard against such magicians.
It's all over with our freedom. Thou teach us and tempt us back into prisons, thou old melancholy devil. Out of thy lament soundeth allurement. Thou resemblest those who with their praise of chastity secretly invite to voluptuousness.
Thus spake the consensuous one. The old magician, however, looked about him, enjoying his triumph, and on that account put up with the annoyance which the conscientious one caused him.
"Be still,"
said he with modest voice.
"Good songs want to re-echo well. After good songs one should be long silent. Thus do all those present, the higher men. Thou, however, hast perhaps understood but little of my song. In thee there is a little of the magic spirit."
"Thou praisest me," replied the consensuous one. "In that thou separatest me from myself very well. But ye others, what do I see? Ye still sit there, all of you, with lusting eyes. Ye free spirits, whither hath your freedom gone? Ye almost seem to me to resemble those who have long looked at bad girls dancing naked. Your souls themselves dance, and you, ye higher men, there must be more of that which the magician calleth his evil spirit of magic and deceit. We must indeed be different. And verily we spake, and though long enough together ere Zarathustra came home to his cave, for me not to be unaware that we are different. We seek different things here aloft, ye and I, for I seek more security. On that account I have come to Zarathustra, for he is still the most steadfast tower and will. Today, when everything tottereth, when all the earth quaketh, ye, however, when I see what eyes ye make, it almost seemeth to me that ye seek more insecurity, more horror, more danger, more earthquake. Ye long, it almost seemeth so to me, forgive my presumptions, ye higher men, ye long for the worst and dangerousest life, which frighteneth me most, for the life of wild beasts, for forests, caves, steep mountains, and labyrinth gorges. And it is not those who lead out of danger that please you best, but those who lead you away from all paths, the misleaders. But if such longing in you be actual, it seemeth to me, nevertheless, to be impossible. For fear, that is a man's original and fundamental feeling. Through fear, everything is explained, original sin and original virtue. Through fear, there grew also my virtue, that is to say, science. For fear of wild animals, that hath been longest fostered in man, inclusive of the animal, which he concealeth and feareth in himself. Zarathustra calleth it the beast inside. Such prolonged ancient fear at last become subtle, spiritual, and intellectual. At present, methinketh it is called science.
Thus spake the consensuous one. But Zarathustra, who had just come back into his cave and had heard and divined the last discourse, threw a handful of roses to the consensuous one, and laughed on account of his truths. "Why," he exclaimed, "what did I hear just now? Verily it seemeth to me thou art a fool, or else I myself am one, and quietly and quickly will I put thy truth upside down. For fear is an exception with us. Courage, however, and adventure, and delight in the uncertain, in the unattempted. Courage seemeth to me the entire primitive history of man. The wildest and most courageous animals hath he envied and robbed of all their virtues. Thus only did he become man. This courage at last becomes subtle, spiritual, and intellectual. This human courage, with eagle's pinions and serpent's wisdom, this, it seemeth to me, is called at present Zarathustra! Cried all of them, there assembled, as if with one voice, and burst out at the same time into great laughter. There arose, however, from them, as it were a heavy cloud. Even the magician laughed, and said wisely,
Well, it is gone, mine evil spirit. And did I not myself warn you against it when I said that it was a deceiver, a lying and deceiving spirit, especially when it showeth itself naked? But what can I do with regard to its tricks? Have I created it and the world? Well, let us be good again, and of good cheer. And although Zarathustra looketh with evil eye, just see him, he disliketh me. Ere night cometh, will he again learn to love and laud me. He cannot live long without committing such follies. He loveth his enemies. This art knoweth he better than anyone I have ever seen. But he taketh revenge for it on his friends.
Thus spake the old magician, and the higher men applauded him, so that Zarathustra went round and mischievously and lovingly shook hands with his friends, like one who hath to make amends and apologize to everyone for something. When, however, he had thereby come to the door of his cave, lo, then had he again a longing for the good air outside and for his animals, and wished to steal out. 76. Among Daughters of the Desert.
Go not away,
Said then the wanderer who called himself Zarathustra's shadow.
abide with us, otherwise the old gloomy affliction might again fall upon us. Now hath that old magician given us of his worst for our good, and lo, the good pious Pope there hath tears in his eyes, and hath quite embarked again upon the sea of melancholy. Those kings may well put on a good air before us still, for that have they learned best of us all at present. Had they, however, no one to see them, I wager that with them also the bad game would again commence. The bad game of drifting clouds, of damp melancholy, of curtained heavens, of stolen suns, of howling autumn winds. The bad game of our howling and crying for help. Abide with us, O Zarathustra. Here there is much concealed misery that wisheth to speak. Much evening, much cloud, much damp air. Thou hast nourished us with strong food for men and powerful proverbs. Do not let the weakly, womanly spirits attack us anew at dessert. Thou alone makest the air around thee strong and clear. Did I ever find anywhere on earth such good air as with thee in thy cave? Many lands have I seen. My nose hath learned to test and estimate many kinds of air. But with thee do my nostrils taste their greatest delight. Unless it be, to forgive an old recollection. Forgive me an old after-dinner song, which I once composed among daughters of the desert. For with them was there equally good, clear, oriental air. There was I furthest from cloudy, damp, melancholy old Europe. Then did I love such oriental maidens, and other blue kingdoms of heaven, over which hath no clouds and no thoughts. Ye would not believe how charmingly they sat there, when they did not dance, profound, but without thoughts, like little secrets, like beribboned riddles, like desert nuts. Many-hued and foreign, forsooth, but without clouds, riddles which can be guessed. To please such maidens, I then composed an after-dinner psalm.
Thus spake the wanderer, who called himself Zarathustra's shadow, and before anyone answered him, he had seized the harp of the old magician, crossed his legs, and looked calmly and sagely around him. With his nostrils, however, he inhaled the air slowly and questioningly, like one who in new countries tasteth new foreign air. Afterward he began to sing with a kind of roaring. The desert grow, woe him who doth them hide.
Ah, solemnly, in effect, solemnly, a worthy beginning, Afric manner, solemnly, of a lion worthy. or perhaps of a virtuous howl monkey. But it's not to you, ye friendly damsels, dearly loved, at whose own feet to me the first occasion to a European under palm trees a seat is now granted. Salah. Wonderful truly, here do I sit now, the desert nigh, and yet I am so far still from the desert. Even in not yet deserted, that is, I'm swallowed down by this, the smallest oasis. It opened up, just yawning, its loveliest mouth agape, most sweet-odored of all mouthlets. Then fell I right in, right down, right through in, 'mong you, ye friendly damsels, dearly loved, Salah. Hail, hail to the whale, fish-like, if it thus for its guests' convenience made things nice. Ye well know surely my learned allusions. Hail to its belly, if it had ear, a such loveliest oasis belly as this is. Though, however, I doubt about it, with this come I out of old Europe, that doubteth more eagerly than doth any elderly married woman. May the Lord improve it. Amen. Here do I sit now, in this, the smallest oasis, like a date indeed, brown, quite sweet, gold separating, for rounded mouth of maiden longing, but yet still more for youthful maid-like, ice cold and snow white and incisory, front teeth, and for such, assuredly, pine the hearts of all ardent date fruits. Salah! To the there named south fruits now, similar, all too similar, do I lie here by little flying insects, round sniffled and round played, and also by yet littler, foolisher, and peccabler, wishes and fantasies environed by you, ye silent presentientest, maiden kittens, doo-doo, and sulika. Round sphinxed that into one word I may crowd much feeling. Forgive me, O God, all such speech sinning. Sit I here the best of air sniffling, paradisal air, truly, bright and buoyant air, gold and mottled, as goodly air as ever, from lunar orb down furl, be it by hazard, or supervened it by arrogancy. As the ancient poets relate it, but doubter, I'm now calling it in question. What this do I come indeed out of Europe, that doubteth more eagerly than doth any elderly married woman. May the Lord improve it. Amen. This the finest air drinking, with nostrils outswelled like goblets, lacking future, lacking remembrances. Thus do I sit here, ye friendly damsels, dearly loved, and look at the palm tree there. How it, to a dance girl, like, doth bow and bend, and on its haunches bob. One doth it too, when one vieweth it long. To a dance girl, like, who, as it seemeth to me, too long and dangerously persistent, always, just on single leg hath stood. Then forgot she thereby, as it seemeth to me, the other leg. For vainly I, at least, did search for the amissing fellow jewel, namely, the other leg, in the sanctified precincts, nigh her very dearest, very tenderest, flapping and fluttering and flickering skirting. Yea, if ye should, ye beauteous friendly ones, quite take my word, she hath, alas, lost it. It is away, forever away, the other leg. Oh, pity for that loveliest other leg. Where may it now tarry, all forsaken weeping? The lonesomest leg, I fear, perhaps before a furious, yellow, blonde, and curled leonine monster, or perhaps even gnawed away, nibbled badly, most wretched, woeful, nibbled badly. Salah. Oh, weep ye not, gentle spirits, weep ye not, ye date fruit spirits, milk bosoms, ye sweet wood heart,
Purslets, weep ye no more, pallid doo-doo, be a man, Sulika, bold, bold, or else should there perhaps something strengthening, heart-strengthening, here most proper be, some inspiring text, some solemn exhortation? Ha! Up now, honor! Moral honor, European honor, blow again, continue, bellows box of virtue, ha! Once more thy roaring, thy moral roaring, as a virtuous lion, nigh the daughters of deserts, roaring, for virtue's out-howl, ye very dearest maidens, is more than every European fervor, European hot hunger, and now do I stand here as European. I can't be different. God's help to me. Amen.
The deserts grow. Woe him who doth them hide.
Attack the enemy nexus.
77. The Awakening. After the song of the wanderer in shadow, the cave became all at once full of noise and laughter, and since the assembled guests all spake simultaneously, and even the ass, encouraged thereby, no longer remained silent, a little aversion and scorn for his visitors came over Zarathustra. Although he rejoiced on their gladness, for it seemed to him a sign of convalescence, so he slipped out into the open air and spake to his animals. Whither hath their distress now gone? Said he, and already did he himself feel relieved of his petty disgust. With me, it seemeth that they have unlearned their cries of distress, though, alas, not yet their crying. And Zarathustra stopped his ears, for just then did the yee-haw of the ass mix strangely with the noisy jubilation of those higher men. They are merry, he began again, and who knoweth, perhaps at their host's expense. And if they have learned of me to laugh, still it is not my laughter they have learned. But what matter about that? They are old people, they recover in their own way, they laugh in their own way. Mine ears have already endured worse, and have not become peevish. This day is a victory. He already yieldeth, he fleeth the spirit of gravity, mine old arch-enemy. How well this day is about to end, which began so badly and gloomily, and it is about to end. Already cometh the evening, over the sea rideth it hither, the good rider, how it bobbeth the blessed one, the home-returning one, in its purple saddles. The sky gazeth brightly thereon, the world lieth deep. O all ye strange ones who have come to me, it is already worth while to have lived with me. Thus spake Zarathustra, and again came the cries and laughter of the higher men out of the cave. Then began he anew. They bite at it, my bait taketh. There departeth also from them their enemy, the spirit of gravity. Now do they learn to laugh at themselves. Do I hear rightly? My virile food taketh effect, my strong and savory sayings, and verily, I did not nourish them with flatulent vegetables, but with warrior food, with conqueror food. New desires did I awaken, new hopes are in their arms and legs, their hearts expand, they find new words. Soon will their spirits breathe wantonness. Such food may sure enough not be proper for children, nor even for longing girls old and young. One persuadeth their bowels otherwise. I am not their physician and teacher. The disgust departeth from these higher men. Well, that is my victory. In my domain they become assured. All stupid shame fleeth away. They empty themselves, they empty their hearts. Good times return unto them. They keep holiday and ruminate. They become thankful. That do I take as the best sign. They become thankful. Not long will it be ere they devise festivals and put up memorials to their old joys. They are convalescents. Thus spake Zarathustra joyfully to his heart, and gazed outward. His animals, however, pressed up to him, and honored his happiness and his silence. All on a sudden, however, Zarathustra's ear was frightened, for the cave which had hitherto been full of noise and laughter became all at once still as death. His nose, however, smelt a sweet scented vapor and incense odor, as if burning pine cones. What happeneth? What are they about? he asked himself, and stole up to the entrance, that he might be able unobserved to see his guests. But wonder upon wonder, what was he then obliged to behold with his own eyes? "They have all of them become pious again. They pray. They are mad," said he, and was astonished beyond measure. And forsooth, all these higher men, the 2 kings, the Pope out of service, the evil magician, the voluntary beggar, the wanderer and shadow, the old soothsayer, the spiritually consensuous one, and the ugliest man, they all lay on their knees like children and credulous old women, and worshipped the ass. And just then began the ugliest man to gurgle and snort as if something unutterable in him tried to find expression. When, however, he had actually found words, behold, it was a pious, strange litany in praise of the adored and censed ass, and the litany sounded thus:
Amen, and glory and honor and wisdom and thanks and praise and strength be to our God from everlasting to everlasting.
The ass, however, here brayed,
Yee-haw! He carrieth our burdens. He hath taken upon him the form of a servant. He is patient of heart, and never saith nay. And he who loveth his God chastiseth him. Yee-haw! He speaketh not, except that he ever saith yea to the world which he created. Thus doth he extol his world. It is his artfulness that speaketh not. Thus is he rarely found wrong. Yee-haw! Uncomely goeth he through the world. Grey is the favourite colour in which he wrappeth his virtue. Hath he spirit, then doth he conceal it. Every one, however, believeth in his long ears. Yee-haw! What hidden wisdom it is to wear long ears, and only to say yea, and never nay. Hath he not created the world in his own image, namely, as stupid as possible? Yee-haw! Thou goest straight and crooked ways. It concerneth thee little what seemeth straight or crooked unto us men. Beyond good and evil is thy domain. It is thine innocence not to know what innocence is. Yee-haw! Lo, how thou spurnest none from thee, neither beggars nor kings. Thou sufferest little children to come unto thee, and when the bad boys decoy thee, then sayest thou simply, Yee-haw! Yee-haw! Thou lovest she-asses and fresh figs. Thou art no food despiser. A thistle tickleth thy heart when thou chancest to be hungry. There is the wisdom of a god therein. Yee-haw!
78. The Ass Festival. At this place in the litany, however, Zarathustra could no longer control himself. He himself cried out, Yee-haw! Louder even than the ass, and sprang into the midst of his maddened guests. Whatever are you about, ye grown-up children? He exclaimed, pulling up the praying ones from the ground. Alas, if anyone else except Zarathustra had seen you, everyone would think you were the worst blasphemers, or the very foolish old women, with your new belief. And thou thyself, thou old Pope, how is it, in accordance with thee, to adore an ass in such a manner as God?
O Zarathustra, answered the Pope, forgive me, but in divine matters I am more enlightened even than thou, and it is right that it should be so. Better to adore God so in this form than in no form at all. Think over this saying, mine exalted friend. Thou wilt readily divine that in such a saying there is wisdom. He who said God is a spirit made the greatest stride and slide hitherto made on earth towards unbelief. Such a dictum is not easily amended again on earth. Mine old heart leapeth and boundeth, because there is still something to adore on earth. Forgive it, O Zarathustra, to an old pious pontiff heart.
And thou, said Zarathustra to the wanderer in shadow, thou callest and thinkest thyself a free spirit? And thou here practisest such idolatry and hierolatry? Worse, verily, dost thou here than with thy bad brown girls, thou bad new believer.
It is sad enough,
answered the wanderer in shadow.
Thou art right, but how can I help it? The old god liveth again, O Zarathustra. thou mayest say what thou wilt. The ugliest man is to blame for it all. He hath reawakened him, and if he say that he once killed him, with God's death is always just a prejudice.
And thou, said Zarathustra, thou bad old magician, what didst thou do? What ought to believe any longer in thee in this free age, when thou believest in such divine donkeyism? It was a stupid thing that thou didst. How could thou, a shrewd man, do such a stupid thing?
O Zarathustra, answered the shrewd magician, thou art right. It was a stupid thing. It was also repugnant to me.
And thou, even, said Zarathustra to the spiritually consensuous one, consider, and put thy finger to thy nose. Doth nothing go against thy conscience here? Is thy spirit not too cleanly for this praying and the fumes of those devotees?
There is something therein,
said the spiritually conscientious one, and put his finger to his nose.
There is something in this spectacle which even doeth good to my conscience. Perhaps I dare not believe in God. Certain it is, however, that God seemeth to me most worthy of belief in this form. God is said to be eternal, according to the testimony of the most pious. He who hath so much time taketh his time, as slow and as stupid as possible. Thereby can such a one nevertheless go very far. And he who hath too much spirit might well become infatuated with stupidity and folly. Think of thyself, O Zarathustra. Thou thyself, verily, even thou couldst still become an arse through superabundance of wisdom. Doth not a true sage willingly walk on crookedest paths? The evidence teaches it, O Zarathustra, thine own evidence.
And thou, thyself, finally, said Zarathustra, and turned towards the ugliest man, who still lay on the ground, stretching up his arm to the ass, for he gave it wine to drink. Say thou, nondescript, what hast thou been about? Thou seemest to me transformed, thine eyes glow, the mantle of sublime covereth thine ugliness. What didst thou do? It is then true what they say, that thou hast again awakened him? And why? Was he not for good reasons killed and made away with? Thou thyself seemest to me awakened. What didst thou do? Why didst thou turn round? Why didst thou get converted? Speak, thou nondescript.
O Zarathustra, answered the ugliest man, thou art a rogue. Whether he yet liveth, or again liveth, or is thoroughly dead, which of us both knoweth that best, I ask thee. One thing, however, do I know. From thyself did I learn it once, O Zarathustra. He who wanteth to kill most thoroughly laugheth, not by wrath, but by laughter doth one kill. Thus spakest thou once, O Zarathustra, thou hidden one, thou destroyer without wrath, thou dangerous saint, thou art a rogue.
Then, however, did it come to pass that Zarathustra, astonished at such merely roguish answers, jumped back to the door of his cave, and turning towards all his guests, cried out with a strong voice, O ye wags! All of you, ye buffoons, why do you dissemble and disguise yourselves before me? How the hearts of all of you convulsed with delight and wickedness, because ye had at last become again like little children, namely, pious. Because ye at last did again as children do, namely, prayed, folded your hands, and said, Good God! But now leave, I pray you, this nursery, mine own cave, where today all childishness is carried on. Cool down here, outside, your hot child wantonness and heart tumult. To be sure, except ye become as little children, ye shall not enter into that kingdom of heaven. And Zarathustra pointed aloft with his hands.
But we do not all want to enter the kingdom of heaven. We have become men, so we want the kingdom of earth.
And once more began Zarathustra to speak. O my new friends, said he, ye strange ones, ye higher men, how well do ye now please me, since ye have again become joyful. Ye have verily all blossomed forth. It seemeth to me that for such flowers as you, new festivals are required. a little valiant nonsense, some divine service, an ass festival, some old joyful Zarathustra food, some blusterers to blow your souls bright. Forget not this night, and this ass festival, ye higher men. That did ye devise, when with me that do I take as a good omen. Such things only the convalescents devise. And should ye celebrate it again, this ass festival, do it from love to yourselves, do it also from love to me, and in remembrance of me. Thus spake Zarathustra. 79. The Drunken Song. Meanwhile, one after another had gone out into the open air, and into the cool, thoughtful night. Zarathustra himself, however, led the ugliest man by the hand, that he might show him his night world, and the great round moon, and the silvery waterfalls near his cave. There they at last stood still beside one another, all of them old people, but with comforted, brave hearts, and astonished in themselves that it was so well with them on earth. The mysteries of the night, however, came nigher and nigher to their hearts, and anew Zarathustra thought to himself, "Oh, how well do they now please me, these higher men." But he did not say it aloud, for he respected their happiness and their silence. Then, however, there happened that which in the astonishing long day was most astonishing. The ugliest man began once more, and for the last time, to gurgle and snort, and when he had at length found expression, behold, there sprang a question plump and plain about his mouth, a good, deep, clear question, which moved the hearts of all who listened to him.
My friends, all of you,
said the ugliest man,
what think ye? For the sake of this day, I am for the first time content to have lived mine entire life. And that I testify so much is still not enough for me. It is worthwhile living on the earth. One day, one festival with Zarathustra hath taught me to love the earth. Was that life? Will I say unto death, well, once more? My friends, what think ye? Will ye not, like me, say unto death, was that life? For the sake of Zarathustra, well, once more.
Thus spake the ugliest man. It was not, however, far from midnight. And what took place then, think ye? As soon as the higher men heard his question, they became all at once conscious of their transformation and convalescence, and of him who was the cause thereof. Then did they rush up to Zarathustra, thanking, honoring, caressing him, and kissing his hands, each in his own peculiar way, so that some laughed and some wept. The old soothsayer, however, danced with delight, and though he was then, as some narrators suppose, full of sweet wine, he was certainly still fuller of sweet life, and had renounced all weariness. There are even those who narrate that the ass then danced, for not in vain had the ugliest man previously given it wine to drink. That may be the case, or it may be otherwise, and if in truth the ass did not dance that evening, there nevertheless happened then greater and rarer wonders than the dancing of an ass would have been. In short, as the proverb of Zarathustra saith, what doth it matter? When, however, this took place with the ugliest man, Zarathustra stood there like one drunken, his glance dulled, his tongue faltered, and his feet staggered. And who could divine what thoughts then passed through Zarathustra's soul? Apparently, however, his spirit retreated and fled in advance, and was in remote distances, and as it were, wandering on high mountain ridges, as it standeth written, twixt two seas, wandering twixt the past and the future as a heavy cloud. Gradually, however, while the higher men held him in their arms, he came back to himself a little, and resisted with his hands the crowd of the honoring and caring ones. But he did not speak. All at once, however, he turned his head quickly, for he seemed to hear something. Then laid he his finger on his mouth and said, "Come." And immediately it became still and mysterious round about. From the depth, however, there came up slowly the sound of a clock bell. Zarathustra listened thereto, like the higher men. Then, however, laid his finger on his mouth the second time, and said again, "Come."
come, it is getting on to midnight.
And his voice had changed, but still he had not moved from the spot. Then it became yet stiller and more mysterious. And everything hearkened, even the ass, and Zarathustra's noble animals, the eagle and the serpent. Likewise, the cave of Zarathustra and the big, cool moon, and the night itself. Zarathustra, however, laid his hand upon his mouth for the third time, and said,
Come, 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 let us now wander. It is the hour. Let us wander into the night. Ye higher men, it is getting on to midnight. Then will I say something into your ears, as that old clock bell saith into mine ear, as mysteriously, as frightfully, and as cordially as that midnight clock bell speaketh it to me, which hath experienced more than one man, which hath already counted the smarting throbbings of your fathers' hearts. Ah, how it singeth, how it laugheth in its dream, the old, deep, deep midnight. Hush, hush, then is there many a thing heard which may not be heard by day. Now, however, in the cool air, when even all the tumult of your hearts hath become still, now doth it speak, now is it heard, now doth it steal into overwakeful nocturnal sounds. Ah, how the midnight singeth, how it laugheth in its dream. Hearest thou not how it mysteriously, frightfully, and cordially speaketh unto thee, the old, deep, deep midnight? O man, take heed. Woe to me, whither hath time gone? Have I not sunk into deep wells? The world sleepeth. The dog howleth, the moon shineth. Rather will I die, than say unto you what my midnight heart now thinketh. Already have I died. It is all over, spider. Why spinnest thou around me? Wilt thou have blood? The dew falleth, the hour cometh, the hour in which I frost and freeze, which asketh and asketh and asketh. Who hath sufficient courage for it? Who is to be the master of the world? Who is going to say, Thus shall ye flow, ye great and small streams? The hour approacheth. O man, thou higher man, take heed. This talk is for fine ears, for thine ears. What saith deep midnight's voice indeed? It carrieth me away, my soul danceth. Day's work, day's work. Who is the master of the world? The moon is cool, the wind is still. Have ye already flown high enough? Ye have danced. A leg, nevertheless, is not a wing. Ye good dancers, now is all delight over. Wine hath become less. Every cup hath become brittle. The sepulchres mutter. Ye have not flown high enough. Now do the sepulchres mutter. Free the dead. Why is it so long night? Doth not the moon make us drunken? Ye higher men, free the sepulchres, awaken the corpses. Why doth the worm still burrow? There approacheth the hour. There boometh the clock bell. There thrilleth still the heart. There burroweth still the woodworm, the heartworm. The world is deep. Sweet lyre, I love thy tone, thy drunken, ranunculine tone. How long, how far hath come unto me thy tone, from the distance, from the ponds of love, thou old clock bell, thou sweet lyre, every pain hath torn thy heart, father pain, father's pain, forefathers' pain. Thy speech hath become ripe, ripe like the golden autumn and the afternoon, like mine anchorite heart. Now sayest thou, the world itself hath become ripe, the grape turneth brown. Now doth it wish to die of happiness, ye higher men. Do ye not feel it? There welleth up mysteriously an odor, a perfume, an odor of eternity, a rosy, blessed, brown, gold wine odor of old happiness, of drunken midnight death happiness, which singeth, the world is deep, and deeper than the day could read. Leave me alone, I am too pure for thee, touch me not.
Hath not my world just now become perfect? My skin is too pure for thy hands. Leave me alone, thou dull, doltish, stupid day. Is not the midnight brighter? The purest are to be masters of the world, the least known, the strongest, the midnight souls who are brighter and deeper than any day. O day, thou gropest for me, thou feelest for my happiness. For thee am I rich, lonesome, a treasure pit, a gold chamber. O world, thou wantest me. Am I worldly for thee? Am I spiritual for thee? Am I divine for thee? But day and world, ye are too coarse. Have cleverer hands, grasp after deeper happiness, after deeper unhappiness. Grasp after some God, grasp not after me. Mine unhappiness, my happiness is deep, thou strange day. But yet I am no God, no God's hell. Deep is its woes. God's woe is deeper, thou strange world. Grasp at God's woe, not at me. What am I? A drunken sweet liar, a midnight liar, a bell frog, which no one understandeth, but which must speak before deaf ones. Ye higher men, for ye do not understand me. Gone, gone, O youth, O noontide, O afternoon. Now have come evening and night and midnight. The dog howleth the wind. Is the wind not a dog? It whineth, it barketh, it howleth. How she sigheth, how she laugheth, how she wheezeth and panteth the midnight, how she just now speaketh soberly. This drunken poetess, hath she perhaps overdrunk her drunkenness? Hath she become over-awake? Doth she ruminate? Her woe doth she ruminate over in a dream, the old deep midnight. And still more her joy, for joy, although woe be deep, joy is deeper still than grief can be. Thou grapevine, why dost thou praise me? Have I not cut thee? I am cruel, thou bleedest. What meaneth thy praise of my drunken cruelty? Whatever hath become perfect, everything mature,